Today on Brainpower, we're going to be using structured prompts. Let's jump in. Hello, friends. It's Josh. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about structured prompts and just a few house cleaning items here before we get started. Remember that you can always go to joshcavalier.com/brainpower to download this week's episode file. You're going to need it because we're going to be doing a lot of prompting in today's walkthrough that we're going to go through together. So what you'll do is just go to the URL. You're going to scroll down to the episode, hit the download file. So today is episode 8. Hit the download file, and that is going to get you a PDF document with all the prompts. So you can see there's going to be a lot of prompting here today. So make sure you take the time, get the file, and you can work with me. Now, obviously, if you are watching the recording, again, same process. You can get the file and follow along. We have a lot to do here today. All right. Also, keep in mind that you can jump out and grab my prompt file. A few of the prompts that you are going to see here today are actually in this repository. It's free. You can just go to joshcavalier.com/150 prompts. It's up to 250 now. So, but I'm going to keep that URL. Get access to the file by just entering in your name and email. I do not spam. So if you do happen to get a newsletter or an email from me, it is going to be of high value. So again, share with me that information. You get access to the prompts. Excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to jump in to using structured prompts. I want to go in and just break down for you the difference between a free form and a structured prompt. Now, if you go back to episode number 2, I get into prompt fundamentals. So if you're unfamiliar with just prompting in general, this episode will give you some foundational elements, but you really want to go check out episode 2 to get that foundation in there. So a free form prompt is nothing more than you using a sentence. So we are just talking to the model. And again, a free form fashion, there is, some tactics that you can use there, and you'll see that here momentarily. But we're not talking about a large prompt. All right. So that is a free form prompt. Now, a structured prompt is we are definitely more strategic in the way that we use words and the way that those words are structured in the prompt itself. Okay. And the one thing that is really essential here to remember are that words matter. Okay. And you will see that as I go in and explain the prompt as it begins to evolve today. And also the order of your words matter in regards to the quality of the results coming back from ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or any other large language model that you use. Now, today, we will be talking specifically about TRACI. And TRACI is one of my favorite structured prompt formats, and it stands for task, role, audience, create, and intent. Now, you're going to notice that when you look at other prompt repositories or other AI professionals out there, there's going to be some other formats and some other structures, and that's fine. There are very specific structures that are used for certain types of outputs. Like for instance, you'll notice here that I don't have anything in regards to tone, like tone of voice, which you can add in this prompt structure, but some people lead with it, right? If you're writing a video script or a marketing message, that tone is really important. Well, today we're going to be writing learning objectives. So tone doesn't necessarily, have an impact on that learning objective. So it's not front and center here in the prompt. Okay, so we'll be looking at TRACI prompts here shortly. Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to start by getting into Chat GPT. And I'm going to be bringing up these individual prompts. Now, so if you have the sheet in the background, you can see I've gotten a little bit of a head start here. But if you have that sheet, get it ready. And I'm going to start this process over again, going through each of those prompts. So again, let's grab the sheet. And I'm going to be talking about each of these here as we do the prompt. All right, so ready? Get Chat GPT open. It's open and ready. I'm going to make a new chat. And today I'm going to actually use the 3-5 model. So for those of you that have the free account, you are good to go. You are actually going to see some really cool results happen with the 3-5 model, which, just in comparison, the 3-5 model has 175 billion parameters, where the 4 model has over 1 trillion parameters in the model. So with 4, you get richer, deeper type responses, but we're going to go with 3-5. Let's see what we have there today as we go through these prompts. Okay, so let's go with our first prompt here today. And this is going to be, as I switch back over to the PDF document, a very simple prompt. Now, if you follow me, you know about this smoked potato salad. For those of you that are brand new, this is something that I mention or I use constantly. It is my control statement when I use AI. How do you you cook a smoked potato salad, right? Well, you have it here today. So that's going to be our topic, and I'm going to just grab that first prompt. And you'll notice that this prompt is a great starting prompt. It just describes the task. That is it. Write learning objectives on how to cook a smoked potato salad. And so, when this prompt is processed in Chat GPT or whatever model that you're using, the words that are here and the order of the words have a direct impact on the results coming back. So, for instance, the words learning objectives, right? Just the order of those words is gonna have an impact. And what's really funny is I've already made somebody hungry. Sorry, we go live at noon Eastern on the East Coast. And so that has a bearing. Also, smoked potato salad, that order has a bearing on the results coming back, and obviously the verb write. Okay, so those are very important words. Again, the order of the words have an impact. Let's go ahead and check out that prompt. I'm going to go ahead and copy that prompt and take it back over to ChatGPT. And what's great about doing a live is that we do this without a net. Now, I could, again, run these prompts ahead of time, but this is real world. I'm not going to go ahead and tee these up and have these done ahead of time. And so let's go ahead and see what we have here. All right. So at first glance, these look just okay. All right. Identify ingredients, understand the smoking process. So learn the fundamentals of smoking food. Bop, bop, bop. They just look okay. But, there's some things in here that make me a little nervous, like the words or the verb understand. So if you start seeing verbs like understand, know, learn, how do you measure those? Right? So that inherently is an issue. So again, these are just okay. I don't necessarily have any time information in here. In regards to measurement, what am I measuring out of these learning objectives? So we got a little bit of work to do here with these learning objectives to begin to expand upon the quality. And we're also going to be working on that prompt to get better results coming back. Okay, let's go to our second prompt. Now, before we do that, you'll want to start a brand new chat. Why is that? Well, if we continue to use the same chat window, all the words used in the prompt and all the words that are part of the result are going to impact the probability of words coming back. So all the words that you see here are now in play. We don't want to do that. We really want to kind of build up and take a look at these unique responses back from ChatGPT with each and every prompt. So just keep that in mind. With every prompt that you create, it's going to be unique. So you got to make a brand new chat. So let's do that. We're going to go up in the upper left-hand corner and we're going to make a brand new chat. And we'll go to our second prompt. Now we begin to add additional details into the prompt beyond the task. Now we're going to get into the role. Very interesting. So the role here is act as an instructional designer. Now, why would we do that? Why would we go in and add a role? Like I mentioned before, words are important and the order of the words are critical. So just by going in and adding a role, instructional designer, any and all words related to instructional design are now in play or have a higher probability of coming back. That's a pretty large domain. I mean, if you think about anything and everything that you have personally learned about instructional design, it's there. Like it's in the model, specifically GPT 3.5 and 4, which is what we're going to be working with here today. And odds are when you use those larger models like Gemini or Anthropic Claude, instructional design and all related information about that domain, it's in there. Okay. So what we're doing here is leveraging the role of instructional design to hopefully give us better learning objectives or well-written learning objectives. So let's give it a go. I'm going to go to prompt number 2. We'll copy that. We'll take it back over to ChatGPT and let's let it rip. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see what we have here. All right. So now it's a little bit different format. But again, I still see understand coming back. But you know, even within here though, I'm getting some additional you know, specific learning objectives in here within these areas of knowledge that within themselves are just okay. It's like I can see that it's getting the steps of how to smoke potatoes and things like that in here. But again, you know, what am I measuring in here? And none of these are time based upon time, right? So we're going to continue adding on and seeing the progress of these learning objectives. So back to our list we go. So the next one, prompt number 3, is we're gonna specifically talk about this potato salad. Again, sorry folks that are hungry, you should have had lunch before attending this live. So take a look at this technique. You are not restricted by a single role. You can add multiple roles in your prompt to access multiple domains. And in this case, I've added a barbecue pitmaster. Who else would know how to make a smoked potato salad, right? I know I can go ahead and put a chef or some other type of professional in there that may also know how to make this, but I'm going to go with barbecue pitmaster. So that's the additional add here. You can do multiple roles. So you can say you are an instructional designer and a financial planner, or like if you don't have access to a subject matter expert, that's a great way to go ahead and tap into a domain or an area of knowledge within the model and do some pre-work until you can actually meet with the subject matter expert on whatever you're working on. Okay, let's give it a go. I'm going to go in and copy that prompt. We'll take it back over to ChatGPT. Remember, brand new chat. So we make a new chat. Let's throw that in there and let's see if we have some deeper, richer responses in regards to that smoked potato salad, because now we got a barbecue pitmaster working on it. and it looks pretty much the same. Okay. There might be some additional details in here about the process of smoking those potatoes. Don't really have time to go back and compare to the prior, but I mean, just taking a glance, it looks like we have some additional details that are in here about making this salad that's not in the prior one. Oh, yeah, for sure. That looks great. Okay, so we are now getting there, right? Let's continue. Let's go back over to our list. Now we begin to start making adjustments in regards to the task. This is where the details of the task come into play as we move and march towards creating the structured prompt. And so, when you look at the learning objectives, again, there may be some individual nuances to them that just are not working out, right? Like I want it to be specific, I want it to be time bound, any kind of criteria in there, right? That I need. Maybe I'm not seeing it. So in this prompt, we make an adjustment to where there are now rules around the task. And this one's not too much of a big change, but I'm going to go in and say well-formed, detailed learning objectives, right? But what does that mean? And it really comes down to the words well-formed, detailed, and then learning objectives in sequential order to hopefully pull back, again, based upon probability, better structured learning objectives. So let's try prompt number 4. I will copy that into the clipboard, go over to ChatGPT, make a brand new chat. Let's go ahead and throw it in there and run it. And again, you can see here, they're kind of deep as far as the tasks themselves, but it's they're pretty short here. Okay. But again, you can see the maturation happening as we go in and make these nuances with the prompt. I'm personally looking for individual sentences here, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing bullet points, right? But again, it's starting to form and we are making progress. Let's take a look at the next prompt. So the next prompt, sorry about that, prompt number 5. Act as an instructional designer, barbecue pitmaster, write learning objectives on how to cook a smoked potato salad. Learning objectives should be concise. Now we get into a very specific format. This is going to be interesting to do this. Ensure the learning objectives are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, what's interesting about that specific instruction? This is just one of, maybe many different learning objective formats that you have probably encountered or learned over your career, is that there's a couple different things at play here. One, remember the role instructional designer, that is in play. So now we are working with the domain within the model, anything and everything about instructional design, right? So that brings in the sense of probability with those words. But then we compound it by going in and leveraging this specific instruction here, right? Odds are somewhere in the domain, there is a definition of what a smart formatted learning objective is. So you combine it with the words instructional designer and then the smart format, you have a compound effect in regards to the probability that the learning objectives coming back are going to be in this format. Because out there, right, the model was trained on a corpus of text. And again, we have to just assume that there are examples that it was trained on this format specific to learning objectives, right? Okay, so with that, let's give it a go. We're going to go ahead and copy that prompt, go back over to ChatGPT. Again, make a brand new chat. We're not using the same window. I'm still in the 3.5 model. We'll paste it in there, and let's see if we have some decent looking learning objectives. Now they're down to one sentence. Okay, so they're down to one sentence. Learners will be able to identify and gather appropriate ingredients, including potatoes, and I'm still not seeing anything about time or measurement here. All right, let's talk about that. So remember I said I was going to go and intentionally use the 3-5 model, right? And it has less parameters in there. Well, now we start to see some of the reasons why, when you are extremely explicit about your instructions, and this could be any format. It could be a format for multiple choice questions, for a video script, whatever the case may be. And so when you work with a model like 3-5, again, your intentions are good. You are, again, rolling the dice here, trying to get a high probability of this format coming back, but we don't quite see it here, right? I don't see anything like measurable time bound, which is what I'm looking for. Now, I'm not going to just jump over to the 4 model just yet, because odds are it's going to go ahead and give us what we want. Okay. I still have the hope for the 3-5 model here. So we're going to continue working. Let's go back, and now let's get into TRACI. So there is a progression here. And what you're going to find is that no matter what task that you are trying to perform in ChatGPT or any large language model, that the more detailed instructions that you give, and again, if it's something that's complex, like a learning needs analysis, or again, as I mentioned before, like the format of a multiple choice question, like do I want 2 distractors or 3 distractors? Do I need an explanation? Do I need an answer key? That kind of thing. You're going to want to put detailed instructions in there. Well, after a while, those paragraphs or your format can get kind of gnarly. I mean, just from, going in, and you may have some success, but you may need to tweak something later on. So now you got to scan, your paragraphs and find them. And so if you don't have a structure, that's going to cause some issues. Also, if you are in a team and you are sharing your prompts in a prompt library, having a structured prompt is going to be easier to version. It's going to be easier to edit across your team, because then you can go in and you can designate specific lines that need to be updated or sections that need to be updated, as opposed to scanning just paragraphs of text. All right, so that there is a method to the madness here with the structured prompt. And so now with TRACI, this is a very simple representation of TRACI: task, role, audience, create, and intent. Now, intent, that may seem like a kind of like an outlier descriptor, but what intent is really the nuances in the creation process. Okay, those are where we have kind of like the secondary type details about the creation that we're building, right? In this case, learning objectives. So let's go ahead and let's grab the TRACI prompt or the TRACI structure. We're going to copy it, and let's go over to ChatGPT. Again, I'm going to make a brand new chat and paste it in there. And so now we have in our 3-5 model the start of this TRACI prompt. And you notice I don't have the smart format in here, so it should be interesting to see what it gives us. Well, at least I have sentences in here, and I don't see the word understand, learn, or know. But again, I don't have all of the details here that I need. So now we just take it a step further. And I'm now going to walk you through this TRACI prompt built all the way out. All right, we're going to go back to the document, and I'll begin to give you details that are in here. Again, remember, words are important and the order of the words, right? So we'll go back over to the document. We'll take a look at our last prompt. This is prompt number 7, TRACI with rules. And so the task is very simple. It's write learning objectives for cooking a smoked potato salad. The role, instructional designer and barbecue pitmaster. Okay, we're good with that. The role, rules. Okay, so now we have specific instructions about the role. Experienced in instructional design, proficient in barbecue cooking techniques, knowledgeable at smoked potato salad preparation, skilled in writing concise learning objectives, familiar with SMART criteria for learning objectives. Got two different things happening there because of role stacking. But I want you to notice the format. The format of this particular prompt is what we call Yaml, or yet another markup language. And it's really just colons and indents here. That's all that it is. And it doesn't have to be really complex. I know that if you follow me and if you watch some other lives, I may have shown you a structured prompt utilizing a JSON format, JavaScript object notation. Not to get into programming too much, but there are other methodologies for doing structured prompts. It's really up to you. I mean, if you have more of a programming side on your brain, you may want to go with JSON. If you're not a programmer, hey, keep it simple, right? Just go ahead and use this format to where you're just indenting the rules, and it makes it so much easier to edit, okay? So again, use what works for you. Other things that we have in here include the audience. The audience is going to be novice cooks preparing side dishes for guests. And then we have audience rules in here. Create learning objectives for cooking a smoked potato salad. All right, now we get into the details of the learning objective itself. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Awesome. Concise language. Focus on key steps. Clear guidelines. Include tips for enhancing flavor and preparation, and emphasize food safety practices. Now, those two instructions there, those could go down to intent. Again, I kind of bounce back and forth between, where to place some of these. The intent is enable novice cooks to cook a smoked potato salad successfully. Again, these are your secondary intentions, right, with these learning objectives, and you can see them here. I'm not going to get into all of them. Well, drum roll. Let's go ahead and let's do this last prompt, the structured prompt here. So I'm going to copy that and get it into the clipboard. And we're going to go back to our 3-5 model. So 3-5 model, I know you can do it. Let's see if we can get from you some really awesome learning objectives. Yet again, this is interesting because I don't see the measurable, or at least the time-bound information in here. Just don't see it. Even though we were explicit in the prompt, the 3-5 model is not giving me what I want. Again, I'm looking for that SMART format. I'm not seeing the time-bound information in here. So now, in regards to like some other formatting in here, I'm not seeing know, understand, learn, which is great. So now we got to go to the 4 model. We're going to run that same prompt. If you have access to 4, hey, that's great. I'm going to give it a go here with the 4 model and paste that structured prompt in there. And let's see what we get. Yeah. So now we get some really well-formed learning objectives in here. So for instance, let's look at number 2. Learners will demonstrate the ability to correctly prepare and use a smoker or smoking setup, including managing temperature and smoke levels to smoke potatoes. Success will be measured by achieving a uniform smoky flavor in the potatoes without burning them within a time frame of 1 to 2 hours. That's observable, right? So again, it's interesting as we build up these prompts, eventually getting to a structured prompt. You can see how powerful they are, and how it is a progression. And depending upon where you are at with your prompting skills, you may end up starting all the way back over here with just a simple task. But keep in mind that the model that you use, and we saw today the 3-5 model and the difference with 4, and also the structure of your prompt is going to go ahead and have a direct impact in the results that we get. And again, we saw here with the 4 model, it just really went in and knocked these out, which is great. And from here, now I can go in and take these specific learning objectives and begin to apply them to different output types that may be used across the learning journey. So for instance, I could say, take learning objective number 2 and convert that into a video script, or take learning objective number 2 and create an e-learning storyboard, right? You get the idea. So hopefully today, this has uncovered the mystery of a structured prompt and has kind of given you some go forward actions as to building your own structured prompts. Now, next week, I'm going to go ahead and continue this conversation about structured prompts and get into some more advanced applications of them. And I'm going to be sharing with you some different types of outputs using a structured prompt beyond just learning objectives. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I was so glad that you were here with me, and I will see you in the next episode. So take care. I will see you in the next one.